A negative review. It can feel like a personal attack, right? It feels unfair, it's frustrating, and your first instinct is probably to jump in and defend yourself, to fight back. But honestly, that public reaction often does way more harm than the review ever could. So let's dig into the professional way to turn this challenge into a real opportunity. Okay, this right here is probably the most important mindset shift you can possibly make. You might think your reply is for the person who left that angry comment, but it's not. You're actually speaking to the hundreds, maybe even thousands of potential customers who are silently watching to see how you're going to react. They are your real audience. Think of it this way. A negative review isn't just a private disagreement. It's a public stress test. I mean, anyone can look good when things are going perfectly, right? But how you act when you're under pressure, that's what really shows who you are as a company. And that response is often way more telling to potential customers than a dozen five-star ratings. So what are all those people who are watching you thinking? Well, they're asking themselves a bunch of questions, like, does this business keep its cool? Do they actually listen? Do they seem to take problems seriously? But it all really boils down to this one critical question. If something went wrong for me, would I feel safe giving them my money? And your public response is the answer to that question. And that gets us to the core goal here. Your job isn't to win an argument with one unhappy person. It's to build and protect trust with everyone else. Every single word you type should be focused on protecting your public reputation. That's the real game. So with that in mind, what's the very first rule? It's actually super simple. Just pause. Do not fire back an emotional reply in the heat of the moment. Even if the review is totally 100% unfair, a quick defensive response almost always makes you look bad. In this moment, calmness is way more valuable than speed. So you've basically got two paths you can go down. And you've got to remember, people notice the tone of your reply before they even read the words. An emotional response, one filled with anger or sarcasm, that immediately sets off alarm bells for anyone watching. But a professional one, that signals maturity, reliability, and respect. So how do you even start that professional reply? You begin by acknowledging the customer's experience. This is without a doubt the single best way to lower the tension in public. And let me be super clear about this. Acknowledging how they feel is not the same thing as admitting you're at fault. Something as simple as this is incredibly powerful. It's strong, it's neutral, and it's so effective. It immediately shows you're listening and that you care, but it does it without escalating the argument. You're validating their feeling, not agreeing with every single one of their claims. See, the real magic of that sentence is in what it's not doing. It doesn't admit fault, it doesn't get dragged into a messy argument over details, and most importantly, it absolutely refuses to add any more fuel to the fire. Its only job is to de-escalate. Okay, so as you're writing the rest of your response, think of these as your guardrails. No blaming the customer, no sarcasm, ever, no long-winded defensive explanations, and definitely no personal attacks. Remember, your goal isn't to prove a customer wrong, it's to prove that your business is professional. All right, this leads us to the next really crucial strategy. You have to separate the public conversation from the private one. Never, ever try to solve a complicated issue in a public comment thread. It's just messy and it almost never ends well. Instead, you need two totally different channels. So that public response, it has one job and one job only: to reassure everyone watching that you're a professional who's willing to make things right. That's it. Think of it as a signal, a public demonstration of your company's character. And that public process? It's a really simple two-step. First, you acknowledge their experience calmly, just like we talked about. Second, you immediately offer to move the conversation offline, to an email, a phone call, somewhere you can actually get to the bottom of the issue. Now, that private conversation, that's where the real work gets done. That's where you can get into the nitty-gritty details, figure out what really went wrong, and find a solution for the customer, all without a public audience watching your every move. You see how these two parts have to work together? Your public response shows everyone your professionalism. Then, your private follow-up actually solves the problem for that one person. You absolutely need both to handle this the right way. And this brings us right back to the single most important idea we've talked about. Your response is not written for the reviewer. It is written for everyone else who will see it today, tomorrow, and next year. They are always your true audience. So what are those future customers looking for in your response? It comes down to one word: accountability. Look, they know that no business is perfect. What they really want to see is how you behave when things don't go perfectly. A professional reply makes your accountability visible, and showing that you're accountable, that's what builds real, lasting confidence. And check this out, because this is fascinating. An angry response obviously just tanks public trust. And ignoring the review, that isn't much better. But here's the really surprising part. A professional, helpful response can actually result in higher trust than if you'd never gotten a bad review in the first place. Why? Because you've just proven to everyone watching that you're a responsible business that can handle a problem with grace. And that's exactly why a negative review doesn't have to be a disaster. When you handle it well, it's a golden opportunity. It's your chance to publicly show every potential customer that your business is mature, it's attentive, and it's absolutely worthy of their trust. Okay, so let's just boil this all down, right? A truly professional response stays calm. It acknowledges the customer's experience. It avoids getting into a public fight. And most importantly, it shows every future customer that you are a business that handles problems with maturity and care. And all of this leads to a really powerful shift in how you should think about this. Stop seeing these responses as damage control. This is public trust management. Every single reply is an opportunity to build the exact reputation you want. So I want to leave you with a challenge. Go back and read your own replies to negative reviews. And ask yourself, honestly, would a complete stranger reading these see professionalism? Would they see accountability? Would they actually feel more confident about choosing your business, not less? The answer to that question tells you everything you need to know.